evening, ladies and gentlemen. I've not still got the show playing elsewhere. There we go. Welcome to the Fallout Bar here from Online Dart. For the first time this week, I think I've actually just introduced the show as good evening rather than good morning. And I'm very pleased to be joined by Charlie this evening. How are we, buddy?
Good. Look, great to be back on. I know I was meant to be on earlier on in the week, but it's yeah, I know. Called to Manchester last minute, but yeah, amazing to be on. And you know, some really great games tonight. It was the tournament is starting to get to the business end, and as you tweeted, Gob, it's going to make it for an exciting finale in the next couple of days.
I'd say the day you missed is the day we actually ended up rolling over to 9 a.m. the following morning because it didn't finish until 1:45. So you didn't actually miss an awful lot, but you picked a decent night to drop back in this week, mate. Because, like you said, quarter-final night and 4 very, very tasty ties that we had this evening.
Yeah, probably barring one game which went, the way I would have predicted it. But apart from that, the rest of the games lived up to what we kind of thought they were going to be. Maybe the last game probably didn't, and we'll come on to touch on that. But yeah, some great games and really juicy ties with all the players coming up against nasty opposition.
Yeah, as ever, we'll just run through them in match order this evening. Those that we have available for you, we will play you some post-match press conference clips. I think we've got 3 sat ready for you already. And from what I gather, judging by what's just been said on TV and the war of the words this week, if we do get a Michael Van Gerwen clip, I expect it to be a little bit explosive by the end of the night. But we've got 3 games to talk about before we get to that point. First up, the only man not inside the top 3 in the world, I suppose, into the semi-final, the outlier, if you like, is a rejuvenated Nathan Aspinall after a 3-2, very hard fought but an excellent win over Martin Lukeman, pushed all the way by Smash, who is doubling in on double 16, stayed around 50% for the tournament. That's some going.
Yeah, I guess, rejuvenate is probably the right word for Nathan Aspinall. He has had a rough couple of months, and to come in today and have a nice long run in the tournament is good. But Martin Lukeman is someone that you can't overlook. You can't overlook him. You can't sort of see that as an easy tie because it wasn't tonight. Yeah, it was scrappy at times, and it was a hard fought victory, but he was pushed all the way, and that's what makes games like these so special. And players who've come through the tournament, who fought their way through. Yeah, he wasn't consistent throughout the game, but he gave Aspinall a scare, and that'll probably set him up better for the latter stage of the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those that have overlooked Martin Lukeman, but I fully appreciate the year he's had. I thought that James Wade was very, very poor in the first round. And I thought, judging by that, when somebody puts a bit more pressure on Lukeman, given the way that the match play went earlier in the year, I thought if Ross Smith starts hitting his doubles early, Lukeman would struggle a little bit on TV to back that up. Wasn't the case. I thought, surely this time he gets blown away a little bit by Nathan Aspinall, who was excellent in fighting back against Danny Noppert last night, albeit with some sort of interaction from the crowd. I think there was a little bit of needle at the end of that one. But again, pushed him all the way. Superb performance from Smash. Only his second TV event ever.
Yeah, I mean, I half expected maybe the occasion of a quarterfinal to get to him, but yeah, okay, maybe people would say it did in the first set, and he didn't live up to what we used to, what 68 average in the first set is sort of shown it. But then Nathan will think, right, I can get this job done. Well, no, you can't. A 95 average, he comes back, he hits back again, he wins and ties it up, gets blown away in the third set, comes back again in the fourth. So he's showing the quality that we've all been seeing throughout the tournament. Yeah, okay, he's had some games, and I would have expected Ross Smith to beat him, but again, he's shown people that he can continue to perform. It was just a shame that tonight he didn't put together the complete performance that would have maybe seen him go all the way tonight.
Yeah, it wasn't like Ross Smith played badly either. That was a very, very good, tense matchup. I was there yesterday. It was a brilliant watch, to be fair. Ross Smith was roaring all over the place, then missing to get in the next visit and all sorts. So, say hello to a few in the chat room before we do listen to Nathan Aspinall. Mike Ting said even done a watch along on my channel. My whole chat was saying, let's see what MVG says about Wright. We expect it to happen. It's probably happening right now. And as soon as we get evidence of that, we will put it into this show. Jay says the ultimate mind games going on in this tournament. Looking forward to the final and also to the tests of the year. 100%. I've just put that on Twitter. Daniel says these semis could be great. Steady on, mate. It's still early. Dan says, evening, folks. Did I get anything right? I've no idea, mate. What did you predict last night? That'd be the question, because I was on my way back from Leicester. So, and Bob says, first whitewash of the week this evening by Gezi. In a best of 5, there was a couple of 2-0s, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was.
Whether or not they count as whitewashes is beyond me. Like I said, though, superb performance from Nathan Aspinall, who moves into the semi-finals of the BoyleSports World Grand Prix. Let's hear from the Asp what he had to say in his post-match press conference.
Madders is playing well. He's playing really good darts. On paper, obviously, everyone's thinking it's going to be me and Gez, but you know what? It's a semi-final major. I couldn't care less. Whoever I play, it's going to be a fantastic game, and I can get my head down tonight, have a good 10-12 hours kip after a kebab, and I'll be ready for tomorrow.
A man after my own heart right there. A man off to get a kebab and plenty of kit. I wish I'd done that last night. I ended up with ordered McDonald's and crashed on the sofa for a bit. Lovely. Nathan Aspinall was the first man through, and like he alluded to, it was either going to be Madars Rosma or Gerwen Price in the semi-final for him. Last night, Madars Rosma was exceptional in defeating Daryl Gurney. Everything he attempted came off. One of the performances of the week, average-wise, performance-wise, it was just mustard. Tonight, not so good, Charlie.
No, maybe it was, maybe he'd played his best darts last night, which is a shame because he did so well against Daryl Gurney, but he came up against Gerwen Price, who just dispatched him, really, didn't he, tonight? It was a good, strong performance from Gerwen Price. He won 9 out of the 11 legs, I think it was. So he was clinical. He got away through Madars Rosma. It's just a shame that he just didn't live up to what we've been seeing for the rest of the week. But still a really good, promising run from him.
Yeah, is that the pressure of playing in the quarterfinal, the pressure of backing up the performance from the night before, or the pressure of playing against Gerwen Price screaming in your face?
Yeah, I think it's probably a bit of everything, really, isn't it? I mean, I don't know how many quarterfinals on TV Madars Rosma's actually been in. These are stats that he's probably achieving new heights for himself, and he'll learn about these sort of things. And Gerwen Price, we know, is so prolific in the way that he gets through games where he's got to grit his way through. And look, Madars Rosma had 7 opportunities at a double and only took 1 of them, or 2 of them. So you've got to look at it and think he's just not performed on the day, and that probably is the fact that being in a quarterfinal has got to him.
It has indeed. As for Gerwen Price, though, the reigning world number 1, just until the end of the week, is still in with a chance of staying there, unless, to do so, Gerwen Price has got to win the tournament and hope that Peter Wright falls before the final, which means he's going to be relying on a favour from a certain somebody later on, but he's also still in position from his own side of it. So, another good performance from Gezi, still not exceptional. The performance from Michael van Gerwen tonight was unbelievable, and we will get onto that very, very shortly. His Thompson 20 hit him was fabulous. I think Gerwen Price has got that in his locker. It's just 100%. When we see it.
Yeah, 100%. He didn't need to perform like that tonight. I mean, he could have done. He very much could have done, and he probably wouldn't have dropped a leg if he had done that. He'd have been on and off the stage even quicker. But I think he's still got it in his locker, and that's something that's really, I guess, a lot of people in the chat room are talking about how, the semi-final with the top 3 in the world, it's going to be extremely exciting, especially if all 3 can hit at the same time. We really are going to be in for quite an exceptional night of darts. But yeah, Gerwen's got it in the locker. He didn't need to bring it out tonight, but it's still there when called upon.
It was indeed. Few more in the chat room, although a lot of these are about things we'll talk about later. Lendl says, what up? Excalibur says, good, great. What did Dan ask? Dan said he predicted Lukeman 3-2, Price 3-0, MVG 3-1, Wright 3-1. So you got 1 right then, Daniel. 2. Not bad, that. I bet he beat Boise anyway, because he's terrible. And a lot of talk about the Fool's Gold remix at the end of the show. I'll be honest, I'd already turned off. It was either a choice of listen to Wayne Mardle and the team interview Michael Van Gerwen for an extra 30 seconds, or prepare for this show. So, it was just a see you later. The big X. We'll play that a bit later. Anyway, let's hear from the reigning, just about, world number one in his post-match press conference after a 3-0 victory over the Latvian manager Rosma.
Not against Nathan. I think I'm a lot more composed. I don't let my emotions get to me as much as I have in the past. And yeah, I'm a lot more experienced. And I know Nathan's going to be bouncing on a stage, but I think sometimes I can use that against him, as people have against me in the past. So yeah, I think I control my emotions a bit better than what Nathan does now. And yeah, hopefully he's bouncing around that stage and I can just feed off him.
Interesting indeed. Right, 2 more games to talk about. Dan says, I love how much the Teesside accent has dominated the fallout. I wouldn't say dominated. We've let you have your moment in the sun. Thompson says, evening all, cracking night darts. Indeed. Excalibur also says, high school football left tonight, college football and Grand Prix semis tomorrow. I have an issue with college football, but let's not get into that debate right now. Pay the athletes. If it's gonna be on TV every week, then they're professional athletes. They just are. Right? If it's like a one-off or the end of season tournament, fine. But the minute you're on TV constantly on ESPN, pay them as athletes. Anyway, match number 3 of the evening, and another. Well, this one had top billing for the night for a specific reason, because it was very, very good. The Master versus Apprentice. There was plenty of misses in this one. Plenty of moments I thought where Peter Wright jumped out the blocks in a set and just allowed Dimitri straight back into it. He did it in the second set. Very nearly did it in the 5th set. The 4th set was the last leg decider as well. All of those, it felt like Peter Wright was in control after 2 legs, and all of those, he's very nearly ended up losing.
Yeah, I mean, he came out the blocks so well, didn't he, in the first set, and he's off the stage quickly, despite Dimitri averaging 100 plus, a ton plus, which to lose a set, averaging that is quite exceptional. But then, to come back out and for Dimitri to hang in there, as you mentioned, it felt as if Peter Wright was just allowing the door to just be open ajar rather than killing it off. He'd let him back into the game, and we know how deadly Dimitri is. If you give him that opportunity to build momentum, to build up pace, he will take a player apart. And to find himself 2-1 up after 3 sets, he probably will have been thinking, "This is my night tonight."
Yeah, let's do the inevitable conversation right now, then, shall we? Another change of darts for Peter, right? Well, we have to, don't we?
Yeah.
We sort of have to, because the rest of the week he's been throwing the torpedo style barrel, or I want to call him the Simon Whitlock, because he was the first to really use them, which is the torpedo at the front. Then it's almost chopped off the back with a little bit of grip, and he's looked very steady with those. He's played on the Euro Tour with those in the last couple of weeks. He's basically been changing between those two, and I thought that he might continue to change between those two. I didn't expect him to go back to a straight barrel out of nowhere, and when he did, I didn't expect it to be the one that he did throw, considering in his straight barrel options he's got the World Championship darts from the first time, the World Championship darts from the second time, and the elements that he just absolutely dominates people with when he throws them well.
His decisions sometimes baffle me. They
The
really
fact he's
do.
on stage at the end going, "Oh, I might not throw with these tomorrow." Why, you dickhead?
Yeah, it's not like these are some of the biggest games in some of the biggest tournaments in your calendar, and you're messing around with darts. But look, he won, didn't he? I just wish he'd stayed to the same barrel of dart, and then we don't have to talk about it after and know that that's sort of inevitably coming.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen all year. And there's always 2 conversations, Peter, isn't there? It's how good can Peter be, and what set of darts are you going to throw? And it makes him entertaining. For a man who has such a distinguishable look, right, the marketing around Peter Wright should be so simple. It should just be whack a Mohican on. Now that he's gone to his own shirts in different colours, right, and the trousers are the things that change, brilliant, perfect to sell those, and then just sell a set of darts. And he's got so many, and they've had to produce so many, and every time somebody sees them on TV, they want them. It becomes an absolute nightmare, because you can shift a little bit of volume of them, but never masses, because everybody goes, well, I'm not going to spend 40 quid on them because if we throwing something else next week.
Yeah, you could buy a dart set from anywhere, and then you could be throwing them, and you could be like, "Oh, these are Peter Wrights," and you'd be like, "Actually, no, they're not Peter Wrights. Peter Wright doesn't throw with them anymore." And then
Peter Wright's for 45 seconds and and then he decided, "No, I'm not playing with you anymore."
Honestly, he's never going to change, is he?
No. As for Dimitri, beaten tonight, higher average, higher checkout percentage. I mean, we've just made it sound like he's absolutely clung onto the coattails there, which it still feels like he did against Peter Wright. I guess that was the juxtaposition between Peter Wright at his very, very best tonight and the legs that he won, and just how bad he was at starting and then chasing in legs that he didn't win.
Yeah, it just did feel as if Dimmy, did really well, and could have easily come out of this game having won, but I think he almost snatched it, didn't he? He almost took the game away from Peter Wright. But the big moments on the big stage and the big moments in the tournament, Peter Wright finds a way to get the job done, and that's what he did tonight. And it's just a shame that Dimitri fell just short, despite outscoring Peter Wright in many different areas across the game.
Well, 8 missed match darts from Peter Wright. Well, 7 missed, and then he obviously hits the 8th. 3 missed match darts from Dimitri. It's weird because look, everybody's going to miss at some point, but I don't think anybody expected Dimitri to miss 3 in hand, especially with the 1 and 2 markers that he had there. And at that point, do we take into consideration who he's playing and the previous friendship and the little bit of rivalry they've had recently? Do we take into the fact that Dimmy's performance and his rise up the rankings was behind closed doors, an awful lot? The World Match Play was behind closed doors. Do we take into consideration the change in equipment and the fact he's changed barrel shape a little bit as well? Or again, is it just a combination of all those factors? And actually, when it comes down to it, he just didn't have it in that moment.
Again, I think people could argue both sides of it, couldn't they, really? But I think tonight it might have just been that he just didn't have it in that moment. When called upon, he didn't have it. When Peter Wright was then called upon to have that last opportunity, he took it. And that maybe is the difference between a Peter Wright and a Dimitri Vandenberg. Maybe we'll see that in his game in the future. It may be something to do with his equipment and the changes that he's made and the points that he accumulated, during the pandemic and everything like that, when it was all behind closed doors.
Yeah.
But I guess at this moment in time, it may be just down to the fact that he just wasn't there when he needed it.
I mean, as we're talking darts, Dan says he's bought a set of Johnny Clayton's. I hope it makes you play like him, Dan, but I'm not sure it quite works like that. A good question from our colleague, Mr. Boyce, as well. He says, good evening, by the way. This is his second message. And he says, no Dimmy at the Grand Slam of Darts unless he goes through the qualifier. 12 months of no big finals. Is Dimmy overrated currently?
Good question. Very good question.
One that you're scared to answer by that first opening.
I've never really been a massive Dimmy fan, if I'm honest with you. I haven't really been a Dimmy fan, but I mean, I think at this current moment in time, will we see him take that next step? I guess that's the question that a lot of people will ask. Will we see him take the next step in his game? And, will he continue to hit a level that he's at now? Or will he break into that top 10? And I guess that's going to be the question over the next couple of months, isn't it? And into the start of the new year is can he now take the step of becoming one of the top 10? And that's where the difference may be between him and the top players in the game.
Yeah, I guess the advantage to Dimmy is he's already done it before. World Youth Champion, World Match Play Champion, still relatively young in the sport. And he's still, no matter what tournament you go into at the minute you put him in front of a TV camera, Dimmy becomes a contender. Because he just manages to raise his game a level in front of a camera. He's always been like that. Even if he finally got over the line behind closed doors and whatever, he's always been a showman rather than a player on the floor. That's always never been his issue. So he's also got that opportunity there. But one major win, Aspinall's got 2, Gurney's got 2. Where do we compare him with Luke Humphreys right now? some big questions, which probably mean they'll need to be answered on Monday rather than tonight, because I can see you panicking a little bit. I'm going to push you a bit more, Charlie. So let's hear from the winner of the third match this evening, the potentially incoming world number 1 and the reigning world champion, Mr. Peter Wright.
Well, we'll be if we both get off. If not, we could be there a little while. So, I don't know. Yeah, well, if obviously he's got to win the match first, and hopefully for the crowd and everyone else, and everyone wants MVG to beat me, and I would like to beat him, but it's in the past we've turned up together on stage and it's not done anything, has it? But we have some crackers, but hopefully it'll be a good one.
Yeah, many congratulations.
Cheers, but yeah, this obviously this is more of a, it's definitely a major that I want to win, and so yeah, that's instead of European, no disrespect to Europeans, but you want to win this one.
It's a TV title. It's not a major. I might have been that kind of worms at this time of night. But I also do want to defend Dimmy just a little bit, by the way, because we may have glossed over the fact he won 2 World Series events this year.
True.
Back to back.
Very
just
true.
A few months ago, whilst they're not ranked and they don't count towards the Grand Slam, the fact he's won 2 TV titles, one in Amsterdam in possibly the most hostile conditions I've ever experienced in a crowd. Fair play to him, by the way. I don't want to completely write him off, but ranked TV events, there is still that little edge missing to Dimitri's game right now. I completely agree with that bit. Yeah, Bob says Dimitri's using darts like the style he used 10 years ago. He explained this in the first round. Saw the press conference, completely understand the logic. 10 years is a long time. When you've just been playing with a straight barrel dart elsewhere, so it depends how much you've been practicing, etc. I will give you this bit. The shirt is terrible. It's minging. Absolutely grim. Disgusting. I don't want to just sit here and bash Dimmy, but I am waiting for the Michael Van Gerwen clip to load, and we are about to talk about that game. Phil's not even in the background uploading it yet. I think he's been stuck in the press conference. So what we're probably going to do is discuss the final quarter-final now and the performance within it. Pray Phil Barr's on his way at that point. Probably do our predictions, and then we'll give you the Michael Van Gerwen clip if we have it available, because I've not even been told this, but we think he might respond to Peter Wright. At that point, it's only fair that we give him the opportunity to. Final game of the night was Michael Van Gerwen against Chris Dobey. We are still yet to break the 100 average in this tournament, in any performance by anybody. We've been done before, done a fair few times, but this year, struggling to do so. Van Gerwen was very, very close to that mark tonight. 99.33, 6 160 ins, 5 ton plus checkouts, another 3 maximums in the middle, just for good luck. He went an entire set getting in first dart, every dart, and still lost it to Chris Dobey, and was 57% on the outer ring in his checkouts. That was some performance in this tournament.
This was the game that I was looking forward to the most this evening, between the two, because again, MVG, we still we're at that stage now where we're starting to see him really return to what we're used to seeing, and that was a pretty decent job from him. I mean, the first 2 sets, you see, arguably, Chris Dobey won the second set with a 1-2-2, didn't he? That was ice cold. At that point, I was thinking, "Ooh, this could really go the distance." And then after the break, MVG just ran away with it. 100% on his doubles in the third set, and obviously only 37.5, I think it was in the last set, and then to finish on tops as well. That was a decent performance by him, and probably sent out a message to his fellow semi-finalists that he means business.
It does mean business. I mean, everything just seemed to happen for him tonight, but he is very, very confident. He has been all week. Performances have been getting better and better and better. Gary Anderson game wasn't great, but we'll let him off for that one. But it's just how solid that dart was in the top of the tops segment tonight. it was just standing to attention exactly. He couldn't have put it in the bed any better with his hand if he wanted to.
Yeah, it just seems to be all clicking, didn't it, tonight for MVG? It seemed as if everything that he did when he was given an opportunity, he took it. And yeah, there was missed doubles, and that's that happens. Everyone's human. They miss doubles during the game, but it was just the fact that whenever momentum started to shift between the two or towards Chris Dobey, MVG pulled it straight back to himself and continued to be as dominant as we used to seeing.
Yeah, final word on Chris Dobey. Fantastic run from this week. Solid performance against Adrian Lewis, which I thought was a great game in a match that actually meant an awful lot to both of those two. Still, you can't begrudge him not getting past this performance from Michael van Gerwen, because it is the best performance of the week so far. It was as close to as brilliant as we've seen all week. But he does just keep running into this big game, big performance as the tournaments go later and later. And at some point, you feel like he's got to turn that, a bit like Joe Cullen. How Joe Cullen suddenly turned it around, flicked the switches, suddenly he's a top 8 player in the world and winner of his B game. Chris Dobey had a period last year where he was averaging 104, 105 on Pro Tours for fun, dragging everybody up to his level, finding ways to lose games. He's played pretty well this week, found a way to lose against Michael van Gerwen, granted against 100 average, but it's not like we haven't seen this from Chris Dobey before, who is clearly very, very talented, but is either fallen at a very big game or hasn't quite got the mentality right to go and fully grasp one of those big games.
Yeah, I was going to touch on the Pro Tours and how he continuously plays at his A game, and whoever he's playing against, that also brings them up to his level, which is just the way that it happens, I guess. But I think eventually, as we talked about with Joe Cullen, that something will click, and it will click for him, and he will become a dominant force in which he doesn't get to the point where players will raise their game and he'll then be beaten. He will then beat players when they raise their game. And I think that's what's exciting to see from Chris Dobey, because, he's such a talented player. He's got the game. It's just at that crucial time, can he bring it to the stage? And tonight he did. It was just a shame that MVG also brought his A game and pretty much took him apart towards the end of the game.
A few comments before we do hear from Michael van Gerwen. That piece is ready for you. Dan says, Dobey needs to take the positives from this performance. He was beaten by MVG close to 90%, but Dobey was superb. Bob says, the miss by Chris Dobey in the last set could have made the game different if he'd hit double 10. Yeah, 3 darts in hand. That one would have sent it all the way. And MVG looks like he could hit a 9 darter this week. We haven't seen anybody get to the 161 yet. I thought Peter Wright was going to go close earlier when he opened 157, 180.
Yeah, it was.
40 was 5 perfect darts. I thought, oh, and the crowd thought it was in as well. Brilliant. Right, we've stalled for long enough. It's loaded. It's ready. I have no idea what this says. I can see Phil Wells grinning in the background somewhere. That means it's probably mustard. So let's hear from Michael van Gerwen.
Want to do better tomorrow, but still a long way to go. I'm only in the semi-finals now. I've won nothing so far, so I need to make sure I'm sharp tomorrow as well. They all know when I'm in this mood, they're all scared of me, and I need to make sure I keep this mood going and keep my flow going, and then I can do even more things like this.
Do you lift the trophy in 2 days' time?
Of course. Are you questioning me?
I was asking you.
Oh.
Pleasure.
No way. Nah. We all know Peter has a big mouth, and for someone who's always that quiet at home, yeah, we all know what it is. Peter is a good player, but sometimes when he gets a little bit in his mood, he says a bit of stupid things, and other players knows that, and you get on with it, and you just have to do the right thing for yourself, and that's the only thing I can do for myself. I know I'm the better player, and I think everyone knows that as well, but I don't have to say that, but I just need to make sure I do the right thing for me, and just make sure I'm going to beat them, and that's the only thing that counts for me.
I can't wait for tomorrow. I can't wait for tomorrow, because there's so much time tomorrow as well, by the way. Like, the rest of the broadcast all week has been so narrow. If they don't get all 4 players sat in a room, not together, but individually, and when they chop up the interviews back and forward so it looks like they're responding to things they've said, but they actually haven't. If Sky don't do that for tomorrow, I'll be gutted. Sit them down about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon and just get them firing off on their opponent before they play them later. Oh, they're really good. Nah, they're going to go in on each other. 100%. And I'm so here for it. So here for it. And there was one line in there that I thought was a little bit cheeky. He's like, he's very quiet at home, as if he's having a pop.
Yeah.
But yes, that is our review of tonight's quarterfinals, which means all we have to do now is look ahead to the semi-finals. A few responses to that one. Dan says, I don't think he didn't find a way to lose. His top 20 player met the world number 3 at 90%. Dobey goes deep in Minehead. Big shout from Dan about Minehead. Really looking forward to that one, by the way. If you haven't heard the plans for Minehead this year, you're in for a treat if you're attending as a spectator. That's all I'm going to say. And Mike Green says, get in, Michael, rile him up, love it. Yeah, because what Peter Wright really needs right now is somebody riling him up to say even more things. Okay, let's look ahead then to tomorrow's semi-finals. And we start opening the show with Gerwen Price against Nathan Aspinall. Best of 7 sets now, I believe.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and then the final best of 9. I mean, the final of this event has previously been best of 13 sets. Then it was best of 11. Now it's best of 9. I'm not really sure we could come to 6. But Gerwen Price versus Nathan Aspinall. Score prediction. How do you see this one going? Chat room, get involved as well. Let us know your score predictions. And we'll flash some of them up on screen. And for the first time all week, Charlie, we don't have to rush these predictions. Take your time.
Well, I personally see this game going one way. I think Gerwen Price wins. I think he wins 4-2. I think tomorrow when I sit down to watch, I can't. I think my eyes are on the last game, not this game. So, but I do think Gerwen Price will have too much for Nathan Aspinall. I expect it to be a good early game. You know, tough at the start, probably a bit bitty, but I think Gerwen Price will come through and will book his place in the final, which we kind of all expected.
We did. What score are you going like? What score line?
4-2.
4-2. See, I think this format is just made for Gezi. He lives on top in 20s, and I can see a very, very big performance come in. But beware the man that writes off Nathan Aspinall. You just can't write him off. The man loves a scrap. He loves doing it. He loves making things difficult for himself. He will not get blown away. He's got too much about him to get blown away. He's got the ability to change the pace of the game, to just readjust it to himself, or take that breather, take that step back, or hit that big shot. You can't teach timing, but Nathan Aspinall just seems to have that in his locker to be able to turn a game on his head. All of that being said, I still think Gezi wins, but I think it goes 4-3. I think we see an absolute battle in this one. I think Nathan will drag Gerwen down just that little bit. Not that I'm saying Nathan can't live at the very, very top level, but I just think the way that Nathan plays, everything is a scrap. You get that little bit more tension in the big visits and that sort of thing. So I'm going to say Gerwen Price wins this one, but I'm going to say he goes to a 7-set. Predictions in the chat room. Mike says Price wins 4-1. Sam Hill has got Price 4-2. Dan says he can't wait for tomorrow's Fallout bar. Is it me and you, buddy? It is. Look at that. After, by the way, a full day of World Seniors Open Series action and the final day of the development tour ahead of Sunday's World Youth Championship last 96. So a busy, busy weekend for darts here at Online Darts. Preston says Price wins 4-2. James, I'll just go straight to your actual prediction. He says 4-1 Gerwen Price and then 4-2 to MVG. HTV's got 4-1 Price. Preston's got 4-3. Oh, that's for the MVG game. MVG hits 20s better than Price did tonight. He did tonight. Whether or not he does constantly, different from me. Jamie has gone the Asp, though. Oh, the only man in the chat room to have gone for the Asp. And James says Gezi beats MVG in the final. He's back to world number 1 by 4K. He is. That was the thing we mentioned earlier. So, if the world final tomorrow, if the final of this event tomorrow is Gerwen Price versus Peter Wright, whatever happens, Peter Wright will return to world number 1. If Gerwen Price fails to make the final or win the tournament, Peter Wright goes to world number 1. But if Peter Wright is knocked out by Michael van Gerwen in the semi-finals and then Gerwen Price wins the tournament, the Iceman will retain his world number 1 spot. Provisionally loses it at the start of this week because of the amount of money he's defending from this tournament. If he defends it all successfully, he will remain world number 1 come Monday morning. The PDC official rankings don't change until the end of the tournament. If you use the darts rankings table, which is a fantastic website, they provisionally already dropped him and then adding the money back on. So very, very interesting times ahead for tomorrow night. Match number 2, though, Charlie, you said your eyes are on this one, the one you really want to watch. How do you see it going?
I think Gezi gets the favour that he wants. And I think MVG beats Peter Wright, but I think he beats him in a seventh set decider, and it goes all the way. And I think he beats him 4-3. I think it's a great game. I think everyone is glued to it. There's going to be big checkouts, misses. It's going to be. I'm hoping. Now that I've said that, though, I think it'll just end up being a dire game, won't it? And you and Dan will come on and talk about how bad it was yesterday. Yeah, but I think Gezi gets the job that he wants and takes on MVG in the final, and MVG beats Peter Wright.
Hear me out. There's some logic to this. Michael van Gerwen was fantastic tonight. Earlier in the week, Gerwen Price was said to have had the performance of the round or whatever. The only one of the big 3 that hasn't looked like being comfortable favourite to win this tournament with a big performance this week is Peter Wright. And I think we might get it tomorrow. Or today, now that it's just turned midnight, by the way. I think we get the big performance from Peter Wright. I think he really wants this one. It's one that's not in his collection so far. The added bonus of returning to world number 1 and the fact he's done nothing all week but run his mouth means he has to back it up, especially knowing who's in the semi-final and who's probably waiting for him in the final. Now's the time to back it up what you've been doing. And actually, since his return from his operation a few months ago, first round of the Euro Tour, he lost to a very, very good performance. Then he went on to win the next Euro Tour. Then it took a decent performance from Michael Smith to knock him out of the World Series. Was it Smith or was it Clayton?
Was it Clayton?
Smith, I think. World Series finals of the week. One of the two. I'm sure it was Michael Smith or Johnny Clayton. But it was a good performance nonetheless to stop him again. He's not losing to mediocre performances.
Yeah, it was Smith.
FBG needs to produce something very, very good, which he's capable of, or Peter Wright will just have that something about him. The fact that Dimmy missed so many darts against him tonight, and it's just written on the wall. It could well be happening for Peter Wright again. However, if he plays with the darts he had tonight, no chance, because he just had no range on the tops anywhere near as consistently as he needed. But that first set, when he went high single 1, you can't do that against Michael tomorrow. But I think he tinkers a little bit. I think he possibly even switches to 16s at some point, and I think he gets the job done 4-2. I think if it goes tight, Michael's got it.
I mean, he does have a tendency, doesn't he, Peter, right, to set himself a target, in front of the media, and then he ends up backing himself up. So if it wouldn't surprise me if he did, because then again, you've seen an exceptional final, aren't you? So either way, it is made to bill for quite an exceptional final, whoever gets through. But again, as you mentioned, don't write him off, because he's, he can easily perform at his best and could surprise everyone.
Yeah. Let's fire in some predictions from everybody else then. Sam says MVG to batter Wright 4-1. Jamie's got MVG 4-2. Mike Green, major shot from me 4-0. Dan says Snakey versus MVG on TV in a major is literally what we're all here for. Who isn't a darts fan on earth who isn't excited about seeing that match? Correct. And the winner of that potentially against Gerwen Price in the final with even more sets as well. That's what we're here for right now in darts. And of course, the complete big upsets. Michael Smith finally getting over the line in the major, and James Wade being the best ever. Dan also says MVG to win 4-2. And Jamie says it depends what Peter's throwing, I guess. He could turn out with 3 snooker cubes at this rate. I think it might be a bit too long for that one. Anyway, Charlie, absolute gem star for joining us tonight. Superb show once again. Enjoy the action tomorrow evening. Chat room, thank you very much for joining us throughout the show tonight. If you do want to watch more live darts, stay on our YouTube channel, the Moda Super Series, Group C, B, I forget which way around it is. Group C action, I think, underway at the moment. Robert Thornton, one of the players involved, hoping to make it through to finals night tomorrow. That already includes Daniel Closer, Peter Jakes, and Martin Adams. So that lineup's looking really, really good tomorrow. As I mentioned earlier as well, keep your eye out on our social media throughout the weekend. Tomorrow, we'll try and get some coverage of the Seniors Open Series up in Manchester, and we'll try and keep up to date with the final day of the Development Tour. Ahead of the World Youth Championship last 96 on Sunday. Reminder that final will be played in Minehead at the Players' Championship finals as well. It is Group B tonight. Thank you, Preston. There we go. A big thank you to everybody for tuning in, to Charlie for joining me this evening, and just to me for being here. We'll see you all again tomorrow night.